type here to make me say something. I am so proud to be an American. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Do you love your freedom? If you love your freedom, think of that. Any of you here serving in uniform, past or present, raise your hand. We are going to thank you for our freedom. God bless you guys. We salute you. We honor you. Thank you. I am so proud to be American. Thank you. And in that spirit, I caution against allowing this movement to be defined by any one leader or politician. The Tea Party movement is not a top-down operation. It's a ground-up call to action that is forcing both parties to change the way that they're doing business, and that's beautiful. This is about the people. This is about the people, and it's bigger than any king or queen of a Tea Party. And it's a lot bigger than any charismatic guy with a teleprompter. The soul of this movement is the people, everyday Americans who grow our food and run our small businesses, teach our kids, and fight our wars. They're folks in small towns and cities across this great nation, who saw what was happening, and they saw and were concerned, and they got involved. Like you, they go to town hall meetings. They run for local office. You all have the courage to stand up and speak out. You have a vision for the future, one that values conservative principles and common sense solutions. And if that sounds like you, then you probably too are feeling a bit discouraged by what you see in Washington, D.C. Today, in the words of Congressman Paul Ryan, the $700 billion TARP has morphed into crony capitalism at its worst. And it's becoming a slush fund for the Treasury Department's favorite big players, just as we had been warned about. And while people on Main Street look for jobs, people on Wall Street, they're collecting billions and billions in your bailout bonuses. Among the top 17 companies that received your bailout money, 92% of the senior officers and directors, they still have their good jobs. And everyday Americans are wondering, where are the consequences? They helped to get us into this worst economic situation since the Great Depression. Where are the consequences? Now I understand wanting to believe that this is all free money. And for some I guess it's tough to tell people no in tough times. Plus, remember our administration promised that it would be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Remember? Remember Vice President Biden? He was put in charge of a tough, unprecedented oversight effort. That's how it was introduced. You know why? Because nobody messes with Joe. Now, this was all part of that hope, and change and transparency. And now a year later I've got to ask those supporters of all that, how's that hopey changey stuff working out for you? See, I tried to look into that transparency thing, but Joe's meetings with the Transparency and Accountability Board, it was closed to the public. Yeah, they held a transparency meeting behind closed doors. So, not sure if anybody's messing with Joe, Booty. Here is what I do know, a lot of that stimulus cash, it ended up in some pretty odd places, including districts that didn't even exist, and programs that really don't have a whole lot to do with stimulating the economy. Nearly $6 million was given to a Democrat pollster who had already made millions during the Democrats' presidential primary. Nearly $10 million was spent to update the stimulus website. And one state even spent $1 million to put up signs that advertised that they were spending the federal stimulus projects. Or as someone put it, this was $1 million effort using your money to tell you it's spending your money. And it didn't create a single job. But one number we are sure of is the unemployment number. And that's at 9.7, which is well above the 8% mark that we were promised our stimulus package would go to avoid. And underemployment now is 16.5%. You've got all these people who have just kind of given up right now, and they're not even enrolling in some of these programs. Tough to count them. Folks, I won't go into all of it tonight, but the list of broken promises is long. Candidate Obama pledged to end closed-door, sweetheart deals and no-bid contracts once and for all. But just last month his administration awarded a $25 million no-bid contract to a Democrat donor. Is that hope? Nope. It's not hope. So see, it's easy to understand why Americans are shaking their heads when Washington has broken trust with the people that these politicians are to be serving. We're drowning in national debt and many of us have had enough. Our government needs to adopt a pro-market agenda that doesn't pick winners and losers, but it invites competition and it levels the playing field for everyone. Washington has got to, across the board, lower taxes for small businesses, so that our mom and pops can reinvest and hire people, so that our businesses can thrive. They should support competition, support innovation, reward hard work. Yes. And finally, if we are going to get serious about fiscal restraint, then we've got to make Washington start walking the walk. After putting us on a track to quadruple the deficit, the proposed spending freeze, maybe it's a start, but it's certainly not enough. As Senator Johnson said, it's like putting a band-aid on a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We need to go further. Cut spending. Don't just simply slow down a spending spree. And we got to axe the plans for a second stimulus, when the first hasn't even been measured for any success yet. Kill the plans for the second stimulus, and be aware that, now that second stimulus is being referred to as a jobs bill. These aren't the only ways to rein in spending, and alone, they're not going to be enough, not enough to tackle the insane debt and the deficits that we face. When we can work together, we will. But when the work of Washington violates our conscience, and when the work and efforts in Washington, D.C., violate our Constitution, then we will stand up, and we will be counted, because we are the loyal opposition. And we have a vision for the future of our country, too, and it is a vision anchored in time-tested truths, that the government that governs least, governs best. And that the Constitution provides the best roadmap towards a more perfect union. And that only a limited government can expand prosperity and opportunity for all. And that freedom is a God-given right, and it is worth fighting for. God bless you. America's finest, our men and women in uniform, are a force for good throughout the world, and that is nothing to apologize for. Tea Party Nation, we know that there is nothing wrong with America that together we can't fix as Americans. So from the bottom of my heart, and speaking on behalf of millions and millions and millions of Americans who want to encourage this movement is about the people. Who can argue a movement that is about the people, and for the people? Remember, all political power is inherent in the people, and government is supposed to be working for the people. That is what this movement is about. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for being part of the solution. God bless you, Tea Partiers, and God bless the USA.